Good evening, everyone. I'll stand up if the camera can handle that adjustment. So I'll read five or so pieces, and I'll begin with a bear, and I'll end with a bat. This bear is called a murder bear for the very simple reason that he is a serial killer, and he just basically kills everything that he encounters. And the bear came to me. I was at a lecture by the august Irish poet Paul Muldoon, and he was talking about Elizabeth Bishop and Robert Lowell, and he was talking about their literary forebears. And I thought, I know the three bears. And then suddenly this kind of horrible voice, like Barry White on acid, came into my head, and it was the voice of the fourth bear, Murder Bear, and I've never been rid of him since, basically. So I'll just read the first one of the sequence. These are horrible, horrible poems. I'm terribly sorry about this. The Four Bears. Of course, Daddy Bear never mentioned his missing brother, Murder, nor that he wasn't missing at all. But in the loft the whole time, Baby Bear was downstairs, in the bed beside Mummy's and Daddy's, dreaming about a girl who once lay between his sheets, who perfumes his pillow still with her grassy, fresh air sweat. Had we all been aware that it was Murder Bear who fell down the ladder like a shadow, crossing out the sunlight cast through the curtain in the shower, and took off a cloud of her golden hair with one claw, and most of her face with the other, we should not have been so anxious to lock Baby Bear's mother and father up in Polar Penitentiary. How Daddy Bear persuaded the others not to squeal, we do not know. Only that after the trial, Baby returned to the disemboweled house, his uncle having fled into the forest to dwell among the gory leavings of autumn, there to sleep in the same bed, eat at the same table, and contemplate the temperature of the blood that pours through his veins. It's Baby Bear temperature. Upon the plain scrubbed table before him remains her bowl filled with golden hair. Second one was about our wonderful new art gallery that we don't have yet. The V&A, which may or may not come to us in future. Who can tell? I don't know.
It's coming.
Do you know? Is it coming? Is it coming? It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. Yes, the rumour is it's coming. Anyway, I every now and then I am possessed by another spirit. The room is thick with presences tonight, including behind here an entire harpsichord. Right? Now, I think every poetry reading should have a harpsichord in the room. Whether it is played or not, it should be there, and we should know that it is there. So this one is, of course, the presence of William McGonagall, the great, some say, poet of this town. And every now and then McGonagall visits me in my lonely attic room, and it suggests a few things that I could be writing about. In fact, that's a complete lie. It was Andy Jackson's idea. He said, you know that thing. How about could we? And so I had a look at the design for it, and I thought that looks like a giant silver bridie. And I thought, wouldn't that be lovely if we had a giant silver bridie hanging out over the Tay, down on the waterfront down there. Those of you who don't know what a bridie is, I advise you to get yourselves down to the bakers. And my friend from Montana, have you had a bridie yet? You may not even have had a pair, God knows. Jim will take care of you on that front. Don't worry. This is a McGonagallian piece about the V&A, simply called The Silvery Bridie. And it requires you to accept at the end that the day the earth stood still, that great movie, remember, where Michael Rennie comes out and warns the people of Earth, and then a giant robot comes out beside him, just in case there's any doubt about the matter. And the command to stop the robot destroying everybody is let me just get it right. It's I've oddly changed it here. It's Gort Clatu Barada Nikto. That's often good if you're being approached by a giant killer robot. Just try it. You might get away with it. So you'll hear that line being sounded at the end of this poem. 'Twas in the year of 2011, a date McGonagall will be eagerly marking in heaven. Or if he isn't there, then in some nearby place they put dead people when St. Peter can't remember your face. Where he'll be seeking whatever passes for parole, that he might walk among us and read verses from a scroll, that in that blazing core of culture known only as Dundee, famed far and wide unto the snide above and below the sea, as the hame of discerning columnists and delicious marmalades, and also some other thing that currently evades my tiny brain. An architectural firm called Kengo Kuma expended quantities of building nous and not a little pneuma to design a silvery bridie to hing out o'er the Tay and delight the porpoises and sparlings upon a summer day. At least those who do not read the Courier, who might know to swim away, and impersonate an aircraft carrier, though one that has no planes, though as neither of our new ones do, the result is much the same. As the Dowager Empress's great ship of marble, erected in Beihai Park, instead of paying for the Chinese Navy and all that offensive capability lack, and all at the request of the Victoria and Albert Museum, though our Empress and Prince Regent are never there, should you call to see them. A situation McGonagall's dull shade knows only too well, for they turned him away from Balmoral as though he was a bad smell. Not that the V&A are offering to put their paw in pooch and pay up for the biggin, so we'll be on the mooch. Perhaps it shall not happen, which may be just as well, though surely then McGonagall will do bad deals in hell and sell the city's soul so that he be resurrected and scalp the city's erse should this not be erected. But may badness of all varieties flee far from our prospective gallery, and may it lure an Englishman hence with sniffs of a respectable salary to make up for the lines of casuals from Whitfield and from Fintry, who'll suggest he take his building and insert it in another country. Though I'm sure the silvery bridie will delight many a Dundonian, such as does not take a drink and sings to their harmonium. The civic psalms beloved by sickers love their municipality for its bandstands and shrubberies and subliminal banalities. For here is where the couthie meets the anime, the wifey meets the geek, and where those internal aliens, the hip, meet for coffee in midweek. Where our robo-zombie bardie hears a dictum he must stick to, as the Reverend Gilfillan cries, "Magot, clatu barada nictu." Now, Beth mentioned the poem I did on the pie napkin. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it, so I'm unable to read it. And so I've substituted, as a kind of vegetarian option, a macaroni pie, which, again, you may not have had yet, but it's the same story. Right, okay. And this is a wee This is it's a shorter piece, a little ditty. How shall I introduce it? I suppose the best way to say that it probably isn't true. It refers to an apocryphal visit by Miss Sophia Loren, the most beautiful woman in the 20th century, who is imagined walking down the streets of Dundee clad only in pastries. And so I'm prepared to accept that this may be a product of my fevered imagination. But what a product. And it's called Macaroni Pie Fetish. Miss Loren is walking down the hill tune in her birthday dress, her ninepence hid ahint a macaroon, a peckcase clapped on ilka breast. It is in tribute to our city, she's macaroni on her titties, and in a greasy Wellgate calf, her fans await to lick it off. Oh dear, gosh, right. Oh my goodness, did I do that one? Did I? Oh gosh. Right. So this one this was a kind of a preceding one to the Macarship, but it is a piece of public art. So this poem is on a piece of public art by David Annand, which is it's outside of Tesco's in Lochee, and they obviously didn't care for it much. It's sort of lodged in between the disabled access ramp, and as it goes up towards the Tesco's, they put this rather magnificent sculpture, which is a kind of rainbow of boxes, of goods, as it were, with this poem on it. So I do advise you to go up there and maybe just sort of write something on it with a marker pen, like everybody else, because it's obviously a kind of a great treat for Tesco's and for Lochee to have this magnificent piece of work to cack on. This is the text that he drew from, and that is stenciled on the thing. It's called The Messages, and The Messages is one of those nice little puns in Scots that you get, where the Messages is the shopping. You go to shopping, and I'm away. The Messages is an intelligible statement if you're Scottish. But if you try and say this statement in England, they sort of go, you're away. You're away the what? The messages, and it doesn't mean anything to them. So this kind of interplay between the messages being goods and things we need, and messages being something that contains content and meaning that we want. That's what the poem kind of plays around with. So it's a list. It's almost like a shopping list, but not quite. And it refers to the wee song Ali Bally. Ali Bally B, sitting on his mammy's knee, waiting for a wee bobby to buy some coulter's candy. Poor wee thing, you're looking at thin, your poor wee face is sharp at in, but soon you'll hae a bonny double chin face suikin' coulter's candy. And I think I may have made up the second verse a wee bit there. Is it? It's not. There's something. You know it, don't you? Yeah. No, it's you. It's you I'm looking at. Yeah.
I don't know the exact words.
But that's the idea, isn't it? Yeah.
That's the majority of it, as I remember.
Yeah. So Ali Bally is the wee consumer, or the wee figure that mothers buy for. So here's the poem. When Ali Bally B fell doon the treacle well, he took a wee bawbee to see what they would sell. Soda farrels for working carols, pig's lugs for their nurses, OVD for thee and me, GBH for purses, falafels for beginners, polystyrene stovies, goudy cheese for dinner, I could eat a pair of rovies, black pudding, white pudding heeding red, a sampling of dumpling by a bigger bed. The messages were written down in cuneiform on clay. Back when was half a tune, we all began to pay. Sumeria soon consumed mayor. Salonika had sales. There's omega-3 in linear B, 2 for 1 on Wales. The Ides were gay and tidy back when Caesar took a faw, saying, Brutus, seize twa bridies, and an inganain and half a peffy Santa, nae caviar for Lent.
there's the make a man, yeah, and numa lutus spent. The message is that sausages are definitely the boys, while ham and eggs and wooden pegs should not be used as toys. Gae mental, we lentils, skell the frozen peas. There's mammon and salmon and pints of ankle grease. There's sannies for trannies, grannies for sookers. There's tunie for loonies and toast for verrucas. Be human as the baked bean and mad as 6 bananas. We still have jam for our yestreen's and spam for our mananas. The messages keep coming in like dandruff frae the stars. The messages are drumming in fae souks and fae pizzazz. The fruits of progress, pantsuits for the ogress, DVDs of Danger Man, cardboard bottles, plastic cans, everything organic, fresh frae the Titanic. There's nae prawns in a Cullen skink, nae calories in hay and a think. Ally, bally, all at sea, seeking out his mammy's knee. Hush now, Bernie, dinna fret. You can't want the thing you get. And we'll finish off. I think how are we doing for time? Are you keeping an eye on it? Because
Gail is, she's the timekeeper.
Am I doing okay, Gail? One more, yeah. So this is a small poem which alludes to the word behind this book, omnesia. Omnesia is in 2 sections, so Simon says we've only got one with us tonight. It doesn't really matter. The books they're like slightly non-identical twins that don't get on and haven't in fact spoken to each other for some time and have conflicting family stories and argue vigorously about things. So they relate to each other would be the simplest way of describing them. And they relate perhaps through this binding idea of omnesia. Omnesia being a kind of makey-up word that combines omniscience, the state that we have in libraries and on the internet, where we feel suddenly, I know everything, or I can access everything. And amnesia, that thing that happens when we leave the library and suddenly realise that we've forgotten everything that we just thought that we really knew, and we just don't have that grasp of the world that we thought we did. And this is the modern condition, really, as moving from states of complete omnipotence to states of complete worthlessness, in which we find, yes, the Tories are still in power. So, just finishing off with a kind of an idyll, really. This is a little poem about a bat just fluttering about in a Greek island, just to give you something else and different and contrary to what has hitherto happened to you this evening. So this contains the word omnesia as a little neologism, and it just describes the bat. It's that time of evening when you can still see it. Right, so it's the night hasn't quite fallen, and you can actually just sort of see the little thing flying around the place. It's a nice thing because you never imagine them as something that you can witness. One Greek word here. Sorry, Damaskina is damson. It's just for a little bit of local colour. Damaskina. So it's a damson tree. The bat. In dusk, from in among the walnut tree, and it's bearing down upon the Damaskina. Although we never see the bat unwrap, like a sticky sweet from the paper of suddenly frictionless, voiceless wings, it begins to trilocate, to be anywhere at once in Ayre's old film, wavering with half-seen insects. It's in the field, the garden, even underneath the canopy of vine leaves that by day shades the little patio. We watch the sky, a dropping sun's turned grey after an hour of lemon, mango, watermelon. Though this still lets some light be gleamed through a wing, like a sallow, puffed-out cheek, a torch shone through a bloodless hand, but gone in the second you understand, as though showing how exactly we must leave each day and do a gathering of senses, sights too small or intricate to count as insight, too brief to form what we call belief. The bat, that master of departures, is lost tonight, forgetting as it misses each leaf and every branch, a figure of omnesia, the way the world desires to be the past.
I can only thank you both very, very much. Gail, I don't know if we have time for... Yes, we have time for questions. I'm still reeling. We have gone from a condom-stuffed father's tin leg to this giant bridie in the tea. And I have to tell you, as a fibby, I get very hungry in my swims, and I do have this thing as I'm approaching the ferry wall. But if I know now that there's a giant bridie somewhere there, I'm never going to get back to the ferry. So it's a terrible vision for me.
We're going to lure you over like sirens by throwing bridies into the water.
Yes. Anyway, can I open this to any questions, please, before as I try to lose that from my head?